Welcome to our spoiler discussion of Spider-Man Far From Home, and here we're going to be talking more about what we didn't cover in our non-spoiler review. So, for those of you who have seen Endgame, you already pretty much know how this film takes place. It takes place after the events of Endgame, where Tony Stark, may he rest in peace, sacrificed himself.
And Captain America's now established dead, and we lost Black Widow too. So we got 3 dead. And then the rest have moved on to their own lives.
Yeah. And then basically after the snap, pretty much, it caused basically a disruption in the Earth's system where it's caused basically a multiverse that's set up. And basically these elements that come out, it happens in, I think it was in, where was it again? I think it was around Europe somewhere. But basically, Nick Fury and Maria Hill first show up to go check out.
No, they go in Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, that's what it was. First. They go to this location and they realize like this is weird, like desert monster or whatever that comes out. And then Quentin Beck shows up, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Mysterio, who takes him out. And then basically the rest of the story we get into where we have Peter Parker, who's trying to still fit in with high school and everything, and then it's kind of funny at first because they notice that they have this little fake news thing that they bring up, how they said that with the snap, since it's 5 years later, there's actually people that have aged forward and look different from like other people.
The people who snapped came out looking the same, like the snap never happened. Yeah. Meanwhile, the people who didn't disappear in the snap, remember, it took 5 years until
they aged 5 years.
Yeah, they aged 5 years because it took 5 years for the Avengers to fight Thanos again for the final battle in Endgame. So those people aged. Like there's this Asian kid, apparently he was like a little itty bitty young looking thing. Yeah. Now he grew up into this masculine looking 21-year-old. Yeah. So
and then basically Peter's trying to get into a relationship with MJ from the first film
while trying to retire
from the superhero life because he feels like since Tony Stark's died that he feels like he's not ready to become an Avenger, and he doesn't really feel like he wants to really be the superhero because since Tony died, he felt like he doesn't have anything left since he passed away.
Yeah,
and you can really see that because this movie really struggles with the themes of one fighting oneself to become a better hero, basically.
And you can see that it's losing Tony was like losing a father.
It was. That was like his. And a lot of people, I know there's a lot of fans that are like from the comics and stuff that have really didn't like that aspect, the fact that Peter Parker has relied so much on Tony Stark throughout this entire franchise.
It makes sense because he's a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Tony's like a fucking vet in being a superhero.
That's what I'm saying.
Makes a lot of sense.
I like that approach. And this movie, we really get to see the dynamic with him trying to go... He's talking to his... Tony Stark's friend Happy, and Happy's trying to get a hold of his Aunt May and everything. You notice that them two got something going on.
Yeah, so basically they go to Europe, Peter Parker, and he wants to enjoy his science vacation, but it's a science trip.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're going touring around Europe, and on that way they have a run-in in Venice, Italy, where the Hydro Man, they call it the Hydro Element, comes in and starts terrorizing the city.
Yeah, and then pretty much that's when, because Peter leaves his suit behind on him, so he can't basically get himself into Spider-Man gear. So he ends up actually, I think this is the first time I've ever seen Peter actually doing Spider-Man shit without his suit since the older movies. Yeah. And he basically is trying to fight him off and stuff, and then afterwards, we get to see Mysterio shows up, and he ends up, saving the day and everything. Mm-hmm. And then, basically, after that, as you see in the trailer, Peter ends up going back to his hotel, and he ends up seeing Nick Fury there.
Yeah, Nick Fury's been calling him this whole trip, and keeps putting him on silent mode.
That's what
he shoots that one big guy friend of his, the Asian kid.
Yeah.
Shoots him right in his neck, and puts him to sleep, and he goes, Spider-Man.
You're a hard one to get a hold of, ain't you?
Nice to finally meet you. You've been ignoring my calls. I love fucking Samuel. You can't go wrong with Samuel L. Jackson.
And basically, he ends up taking him to the location where Quentin Beck is and everything, and where other S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives are working at, and they discover that since the snap happened, there's been a time warp, there's been something happened to Earth where it's caused these elements to come out.
Yeah, and Mysterio from another universe and his universe elements are taking over the world.
Yeah, and he comes from what's called the multiverse, which keep an eye on that because they're actually possibly hinting something at in the future.
Yeah.
And basically, he has to team up with Mysterio and help him out with it. And at first, Peter doesn't want to because, he wants to abandon the superhero style and just be pursuing the girl that he likes and everything. Mm-hmm. And then after a while, they end up basically getting converted because Nick Fury sends his specialist guy to go after and driving a bus and everything. And when they go down the road, and we get that really funny scene where he's they end up stopping at this location where
in Austria.
He ends up going inside to meet his contact there, and he ends up having to take his pants off.
And as this one dude that's portraying MJ, they're like, it's a man-on-man trying to battle who gets MJ.
Yeah.
And the dude takes a picture thinking, okay, I'm going to show MJ your pictures that you're trying to get. Because right when he walks in, this girl pulls his pants, or he pulls his pants down right in front of the girl. Looks like they were about to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then basically they go back on the bus, and then throughout it, we also got to do this. This becomes a plot point here where Peter Parker actually ends up getting these glasses that Tony Stark left for him.
The glasses that you guys saw where Tony used to wear all the time.
Yeah.
And basically it's like a hand-me-down where now he controls Tony Stark's.
Yeah, it's called Edith, I think.
Edith. He owns, he pretty much takes control all of Tony Stark's equipment.
Yeah. And basically we get this scene where he's like trying to get rid of the shit going on with him and that dude, and he basically
trying to get rid of that picture out of his phone.
He accidentally sets out these drones that come after him and stuff, and they end up almost blowing the fucking bus. And we get that scene where, like we said, our non-spoiler view where Flash is basically trying to
he gets
all his glasses and shit.
Flash dude gets on my nerves, so when he knocked him out,
I was like fucking yes, finally,
because he's the only one that's still. While I'd like to say Zendaya was a big jump better in this one, he was still he still irritates me.
I was like, thank you. And then basically he ends up getting the drones destroyed and everything. He ends up getting the picture deleted from the device and everything. And basically, not to go all over the place, but they end up having to go to different various locations in Europe. And he ends up coming across Quentin Beck again. And they end up having to basically team up to fight the Lava Man, which is basically now Peter, since he has a different suit, he's going with this black suit, which they actually have available in the video game of Spider-Man.
And the reason why is he didn't want anybody catching on from the DC events in Homecoming, how he disappears all the time, and then they see the suit. So he wanted more of a camouflage where no one can't really do it. And Europe actually calls him the Night Monkey in this one.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then pretty much they're kicking ass and they're having to take down the lava monster and everything. And then this is also the scene. Well, after this takes place, he ends up saving his friends after they're on this weird Ferris wheel thing and everything.
He basically saves everybody, and then Quentin. He goes up to Spider-Man and he goes, let's have a drink and get to know each other.
Yeah.
And he goes to this bar and ends up, hanging out with him, and Spider-Man said, I don't want this life. You are the new Iron Man.
Yeah, because he looks at him and gives him the glasses and stuff.
And he goes, I'm going to cancel all my Tony Stark stuff, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
And that's one of the things I liked about this movie too, is that the dynamic with him and Mysterio. I like the friendship they bring with it, because it shows that he looks up to him as a guy that feels like he's like Tony Stark basically.
Yeah, he goes, you are so similar to him.
Yeah,
and that's why he hands it over. He goes, I just want to be a normal kid.
Yeah.
So when he hands it over, this is where we get the twist, which I knew was coming. Mysterio, if you guys know him, he's an illusionist.
Yeah.
And he is a villain.
Yes.
And it ends up being, when he walks out, his illusionist, what Peter Parker saw was a bar, but it ends up being a fortress.
Yeah.
That he used as illusion, and that's where he revealed himself as, his motive is, I'm going to push. He's basically, the whole entire time, you don't want Peter Parker showing off, because he wants to be known as the new Tony Stark.
Yeah. And basically, because
he wants to save the world.
He wants to save the world, and he wants to basically get credit for it, because it's revealed that, and this is where I kind of have a problem, because it reminds me a little too bit of another certain film that had the same kind of motive.
Yeah.
Where he basically reveals that Tony Stark worked. He worked for Tony Stark, given the technology that you've seen. And if you remember, Civil War, he showed the technology that did like the digital projection stuff, or showed like the young Tony Stark and stuff.
Yeah.
That was given by Quentin Beck. So that was a nice little tie-in they did to Civil War.
It was a good tie-in, and you find out that Mysterio's been working for the Stark Enterprises forever.
He also has one of his companions that's with him was the guy from the first Iron Man that gave Tony Stark his technology.
So basically, him and Tony had a fallout. Tony fired him. And basically, it's the Madman fired storyline.
And if you've seen Iron Man 3, where they did that with Guy Pearce's character, even though he didn't work for him, it's kind of a similar angle that I thought was like, well, we kind of already did this in Iron Man 3. I don't know why we
not only
did this
that,
again.
it could be a good one, but it's also very glossed over really
Yeah,
well.
because they after this dialogue scene, that's all we get from that.
Yeah.
And we're just accept that, okay, he basically got fired from Tony Stark, and he wants to remember him, but at the same time, it's like, you really should have went more into detail with it, It's kind of just glossed over.
Yeah.
And then basically after that, he's still fooling Maria Hill and Nick Fury that he's working with Spider-Man and all that. Mm-hmm. And then basically afterward, well, we forgot to mention this, what leads up to that is that Peter, the scene prior, he told MJ who he was, Spider-Man. And he also reveals that he finds a projector there, and they realized that
it was Mysterio.
It was Mysterio the whole time.
It was Mysterio. It belonged to his suit, and they realized that he was illusion. That he made everything illusion.
Yeah.
To make him look like the savior.
Well, it was afterwards. I'm sorry. It was after this scene, so it was after we get the reveal and everything.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. But after that happens, he pretty much is trying to save the rest of everyone there, and basically we get into what I like to call the Batman Arkham City or Arkham Asylum technique of using film from action scenes.
Basically, Mysterio is Scarecrow of Spider-Man.
Yeah, because we get these scenes where he's trying to fight the different forces and everything.
Because Mysterio actually overheard him saying that he's catching on to his game. Then he realizes that we got now that him and MJ, he saw him, MJ, that Asian friend of his know that kind of his motive that he's a backstabber and that he's twisting everything around. So he needs to kill all three of them.
Yeah, and then we get into one of my favorite scenes of the entire film is where
they first
battle and we see that Spider-Man goes inside this weird kind of mind altering kind of thing where basically the visual effects and the way that he's fucking with them inside of his mind, it's just so awesome.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It was a little bit of Scarecrow, but it also kind of reminded me of Mad Hatter.
That too, from the Arkham games.
Where it's like he's fucking going insane, he's seeing so much, he doesn't know what's real anymore, and all this stuff, and it's just taking all these different fucking black fucking universe areas, and it's like mirrors popping up everywhere. He's fighting fake Mysterios, and then 1,000 Mysterios pop everywhere. It kind of looks like a Doctor Strangey kind
that's
of thing.
what I'm saying.
And it's fucking with them until Mysterio drops him in front of a fucking train.
And
then he gets hurt real fucking bad. I was like, damn.
And then he pretty much gets end up getting picked up by Happy, who comes in and gives him a new suit. And that's also, we get that really emotional scene where he's telling about, he's tired of having to rely so much on things, and he wants to be his own person, basically. Mm-hmm. And he wants to do what Tony wanted him to do in the first place. And basically do what Tony would have wanted. And he ends up getting a new suit, which I really enjoyed this new suit that he got and everything. And he ends up having to go down to find.
They're going to London.
London,
because he found out Mysterio's going to go there and cause mass havoc. And that's where his plan is to save London and be the new hero of the world.
And then pretty much while this is happening, Mysterio is basically still trying to control everything with all the illusions and stuff.
Now he has Tony Stark's glasses.
And he's able to control the drones and shit. And then basically we get into our final battle, which I will admit, this was a pretty great epic scene. Where
could have been more fighting with Mysterio wearing the suit and Spider-Man fighting.
But it's mainly it's mainly with the drones and everything, just the various stuff. But we do get another scene where he's inside the mind of him and everything.
Well, you get the one scene also where he thinks he's there to tell Nick Fury and the girl, hey, he's illusionist, he's lying to you guys, and ends up being Mysterio again.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you don't know what is real.
It's very unpredictable.
And I will tell you right now, the unpredictability of these scenes, because you don't know if it's Mysterio making us see this shit. I feel like that's Mysterio tricking us.
It is, yeah.
And I love that angle they go with this.
I do too.
Yeah.
And then pretty much it all boils down to getting to our climax, where along with Happy and the other kids, they end up, having to fight off the drones and stuff, and they end up going this like different, this weird like museum or whatever that has like these weird artifacts or like these different antique collectibles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they try to get like the different medieval shit, and they start hitting on them and stuff. Yeah. And then pretty much we get into the final battle where Spider-Man ends up fighting Mysterio and stuff, and then he tricks his ass after he ends up, breaking through all the illusions and stuff, and then pretty much Mysterio gets shot by his own drone.
And he ends up dying.
Yeah, yep. Which I thought, was a very kind of emotional scene where he sees that, he was, basically relenting to Spider-Man that, he respected him and everything.
Yep, so basically Spider-Man and all them, they go back home.
And he ends up getting with MJ.
And he takes her on the famous swing.
Yep.
All the girls and stuff, and then next you know, Mysterio illusionist his death, and he's sitting there. He left a video, and basically we do a Dark Knight type film here,
credit scene.
Where Peter Parker is actually the villain.
Yes,
he twists it and says, and he twisted all the illusion. He's making everybody. He's made an illusion video showing it's Peter Parker saying, "Yeah, kill him with the drones and stuff like that" in his voice. So you're left to say that now he's a villain.
Yeah, and guess this was the absolute shocking part about it when this happened. When we first hear about it on the news and everything, it's actually showing by J.K. Simmons from the fucking Raimi films.
Yep.
That was like one of the biggest surprises I see in this franchise.
He is working with the Daily Bugle.
Still.
So, and they're bringing him into this universe.
I was like, oh my god, that was so great. They actually got him back.
Because he hasn't graduated yet to work for the Bugle yet.
Yeah.
So we're working our way there. So yes, they brought Simons back, and he can work with him.
Yes.
Because I always thought that J.K. Simon, that role was made for him.
It was. And
it was.
You know what? If they ever do something kind of clever, and this is just me just fan theorying, if they made it to where the Raimi films were kind of canon, or they do like a weird thing with the multiverse they set up, I would love to see them do something where they tie it in with the other Raimi films and the other Amazing Spider movies, just to kind of throw it in there. Yeah. Because having them, both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the mix too, would kind of be a nice like.
It's cool, but it's
concept.
It's so far-fetched.
It's far-fetched, but it would also make sense why you have J.K. Simmons playing in both franchises.
I think what they did was, we're getting in this new trend where, like you're saying with Lion King, we're bringing back James Earl Jones. I think that's all it is.
Well, I know, but it would be interesting. Yeah. But anyway, we get also there was also another in credit scene that we didn't see, but we heard about it. Where basically it turns out this entire time, Nick Fury and Maria Hill were actually the Skrulls from They were masquerading as the Skrulls basically from Captain Marvel, and it shows. I just saw I heard about it where. Apparently, Nick Fury is controlling them from a fucking plane that he's on and everything. Yeah. And so, it was basically his way of saying, "Good job, Parker." You know. And so I'm really excited what they do with the next one, man.
Yeah, I am too.
This was a blast.
This was a big step up from Homecoming.
Yeah. So like we said, the performances were great. Yeah. I really enjoyed the way the story really put a lot more with Spider-Man, with how he should be going in this franchise. The visual effects, like we said, with the Mysterio, that was awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
And I really enjoyed the way that it's a different setting too, which is a good change up.
Took him out of fucking New York for once.
Yeah. So overall, this was a really great movie, and once again, I'm giving it a phenomenal grade in the Film Phreeks meter.
Phenomenal grade in Film Phreeks meter as well.
For those of you who have also seen Spider-Man: Far From Home and the other Spider-Man films and the other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, let us know in the comments below what you thought about them. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel, and check out some of our other reviews here and our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.